Hi, how are you?
Oh, we're hanging in there. We've had a eventful weekend.
I know. So tell me what happened. Did you have birthday party? You're supposed to.
Yeah. So we did get that in. We had the grandparents, my parents, and the other side, Garrett's parents, over for dinner on Friday, and that was fine. And then later that night, Noelle woke up throwing up
Oh,
all night long. Saturday was a long day. And then yesterday was okay. Yesterday, everybody seemed kind of better. And then last night, Emma started. So Emma's homesick.
my God. Noelle went to school.
Noelle went to school. That was actually a battle in itself. She was like beside herself that Emma needed to stay home and she couldn't stay home. I'm just like,
Yeah,
cut me a break,
I know.
please.
I know. So hers was less than 24 hours.
Yeah. Maybe around 18 hours. She kind of had one last go around when we thought we were in the clear. But we'll see about
I,
Emma.
ugh. I would literally take anything other than the stomach bug. I do not like it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is not
Nobody
not
likes it,
based.
but like, I can't. I don't do well. I do not do well.
Well, Garrett just abandoned me. Like
Yeah.
he went and slept in the other room, and I both times with
Oh.
both kids. I'm like, okay, so here I am. Let me do the laundry and take care of them all night long. like,
Oh, that's a no-no.
yeah, yeah. He's like, I can't handle it. You handle it better, and I'm just like, because I have to.
Ryan's really good. Like, he'll take them right in, when they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that as long as they're not actively throwing up, but he doesn't care. Not that he doesn't care, but he does it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more the one who's like, you finish up and then I'll be with you. I'll take care of you then. I
Yeah.
Not good. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, lots of laundry, lots of cleaning up.
I'm sorry. That's miserable, but at least she made it through her birthday for the most part.
Well, so Friday was birthday dinner, and then Saturday was her birthday, so she was sick all day on her birthday.
Oh, Saturday
like,
was her birthday. That
yeah,
sucks.
yeah. She was
Ugh.
pretty sad, which just made it that much more heartbreaking. But
Yeah, no, that's literally any other time.
right. But I was
Mm.
thinking to myself too. I mean, I wouldn't wish this on her. I mean, it's just cruel to be sick on your birthday. But I was
Yeah.
thinking this was like divine intervention. Like we needed to just say no to some things and like
Yeah.
lay low.
A
I
cold
think.
would have worked too, though.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
yeah, would have gotten the message.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, how was your weekend?
It was busy, per usual. We had gymnastics meet on Saturday and a Christmas party Saturday night for Ryan and I. He had a work event, so he met me there. Um, Friday night, I don't even know. And then Sunday, we had flag football, basketball, um, you know, just
All the things.
all the things. Yep. But last night was good. Quinn's football game was done by 3, and Ryan was out with Ronan at a football thing. And so me and the little kids just came home. I was able to clean up, which I needed to do. Not the whole house, but like the kitchen, the main area.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good about that. And then we just ordered Chinese food. Once I got it clean, I was like, I
Don't
don't,
mess it up.
I don't want to cook. And then we sat down. We watched a movie. They were in bed asleep by 7:15, so it was fantastic.
Perfect. So I saw
Yeah,
your story. You were quizzing people about what movie you were watching. How many people got it
yeah.
right or responded?
More people than I expected. I don't know at that part in the movie, like with
Yeah.
John Candy. I don't know that I would have recognized it from that point, but people did. I was impressed by that.
We watch it a lot.
Do you? So
Yeah.
funny because I think we watched it one time with the kids. Before that, I hadn't seen it. I don't know, since I was a kid. But we were looking through, and I really have to push my kids to watch something other than whatever they are currently binging on Netflix. That's all, like Henry Danger.
Yeah.
They just go to the same thing and watch it all the time. I'm like, can we please watch something else? It's just the same. So we were on Disney Plus. We were looking for a Christmas movie, and that one came up. And Quinn was like, "Oh, let's watch." Or Veda, one of them said it. I'm like, "Yes, let's let's watch this." And they actually sat and watched it. I thought that we would start it, and they'd be like, "Turn it off," But they were into it. Quinn kept saying, "Yeah, man."
I think the kids for us get more excited, like if they see that we're into watching it with them. At least one of us.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I can't watch Gabby's Dollhouse anymore. I just
over and over. And
awful.
And I always say, like, every time I like force them to watch something else, they always end up enjoying it. So I'm like, why can't we do this more often? I don't know. They're creatures of habits, I guess. But
we started saying, like, if we're all sitting down and watching something together, we take turns picking. So, like, it's not automatically Emma. Emma walks around the house with the remote. I swear to God. Like,
the two of mine do it.
Anywhere.
Ugh, it's the worst. And then we can't find it because they put it down somewhere. I'm like, you guys are not allowed to hold this remote. Not allowed.
Right. No, Emma has control issues with the remote control.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's Veda too, and she's created that. Yeah.
Probably down there right now, remote in hand, but
she's allowed today. She's allowed
today. Break today.
Yeah.
So today, what's our plan?
Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit. Our last episode, I believe, agent safety. I think it's not something that people really think too much about. It's kind of like. It's kind of like when the whole like COVID thing happened and they really put an emphasis on like essential workers, nurses, teachers, kind of what they do. I feel like there are certain things that people don't really consider what goes into the profession, So you had these nurses who were literally in the line of fire, putting their own self at risk to help other people. And so I think it just doesn't hurt to shed a little light on what we do and, the risks that we take. Obviously not every day. We're not saving lives, that's for sure. But there are some things that go into it that I just don't think people think about. They think, oh, we show a house, we get a big check. And that's not all that goes into it,
Well, and I would say that, the general public maybe doesn't have to consider the things that we have to. We have to consider these things for ourselves. And I think that it's more nuanced than maybe just the topic of personal safety. They might jump to some of the obvious ones, but I think there's a lot of layers to it. Yeah. Things that we need to pay attention to and consider and have a plan. Yeah. For different scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah. So, having said that, let's
I guess I'll just start with the big statistic I found about the number of agents that annually fear for their safety.
Mm-hmm.
And that number was 300,000 agents per year fear for their safety.
It's a lot.
That's a ton of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't openly talk about that very often.
And I feel like it's like, what makes people fear for their safety.
It could be anything that's open.
It could be anything. But it could be just the fact that you are meeting somebody you've never met before at a house and you get vibes. You get vibes from people, you get vibes from different situations, so I think that while we have to navigate that, and some of it could be just that, like it is, there's no definite like signs or explanations as to why we feel scared or uncomfortable in a situation, but it's really more of a vibe or like our gut feeling, but the question then becomes, at what point do we
Do something
like
about it.
right, trust our gut feeling or just kind of keep going with it because the chances of something the chances of something happening are small, right? But it's like
Of course.
at what point how do we make that decision, basically?
Right. So I think that, first of all, it's easy to rule out different situations that are of really no concern. And
Mm-hmm.
that's either people we know or people we've had directly referred to us, right? So a
Right.
large part of our business, I would say there's nearly no concern.
Right.
I think for me, what we're talking about is the people that we don't know, maybe the vacant properties, just kind of the leads that come in. And some of them, we just had one on the team this week. The text messages
Oh
that
yeah.
Brittany and our team was getting were, totally harassing her. She'd never even met this person.
Thank God.
Right, right. And she, shared it with the team to watch for that person's name and block the number. And I mean, that person was threatening her family, threatening her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't remember, what else, but just awful,
And for
awful behavior.
no good reason. Yeah, like just totally flew off the handle at something that wasn't really about Brittany at all.
No, no, she didn't like, what was it, the search results that came up within her price range or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what control do we have over that?
Yeah, exactly. You know, especially now with like social media and all that. I know there was one time in particular where I received a private message through my business Instagram account, and it was a woman, so I don't want to
We can't profile.
profile, right? But like you feel a little less like they have the not appropriate motives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just in from experience, but
Mm-hmm.
um, so it was a woman. She wanted to buy a house. And I started off by like saying, "Well, where are you located?" And she kind of answered in a like, "Well, where are you located?" Type response instead of just telling me where she was. So I thought that was odd, but like
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Anybody can find out where I am.
Yeah.
Um, so we're talking more, and I I had said, give me your phone number. She did. I believe we started text messaging. So I was like, okay, usually when it's over DM, it's hard to tell what's real, what's not.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I had said, well, would you like to set up a time to sit down in my office and meet? She was like, yep. So it all kind of was fine. There were a few red flags that I was unsure about, but the rest of it was going as you would hope it would go.
She was
And
responsive to
then
your questions. Yeah.
right. And then she sent me a screenshot of one of my posts like on my profile page, and she said, "Well, which one is you?" And I think I didn't answer that question. I just kept going like, "Well, what would be a good time?" And then she sent it again. Well, which one is you? And so at that point, I was like, something's not right. I mean, you can if you're looking at my personal profile, you should be able to
You
tell
can figure it out. Yeah.
which
There's
one
plenty
is
other
me.
pictures of you.
Yeah. Like she sent me a picture with me and somebody else, but like again, right, there's not the only one. So at that point, she was getting a lot more persistent on wanting to know which and in reality, I'm like, it really shouldn't matter. What does it matter? Like what I look like, or you know what I mean? Like if we're gonna sit
Well, and
down, we'll
it's
meet in the
easy
office,
enough. It's
you'll
easy enough
find
to figure out,
out,
anyways. Yeah.
and it should be easy to figure out. So at that point, I'm like, this isn't sitting well. There were a few, like I said in the beginning, a little unsettling responses. And so from there, I was like, I can't.
Block.
This is weird. It's not normal. I blocked. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
that is the type of stuff that we have to kind of navigate. You don't want to lose business, but
Nope.
you don't. if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't, but that's the type of stuff that we have to navigate, and that it's challenging. Maybe that person was a lovely person. I don't know, because I didn't get to that point. But it was one of those that I had to make a decision and
Judgment call. Yeah.
a judgment call and say, this doesn't feel right for me. I'm not moving forward with it.
Well, there was a quote that someone said to me like years ago. And it wasn't, in relation to safety or, making choices, but it was something along the lines of, if you don't help them, someone else will. And so it's always been something in the back of my mind that, I don't want to give business away. I don't want to turn it down. I know that I can really take good care of somebody and have them in good hands and help them to the best of my ability. But they have the same level of respect for me, that's
right.
That's a question and a concern.
Right.
I remember one, I'm jumping ahead here. I do use that app Forewarn that we have access to, and it does run, a potential lead, a potential client's phone number through a background check. And that's something for any other realtors listening, that's offered right by CTR with our membership. And there are some rules with using it, etc. But anyways, I had a lead, and the list of this one particular person's history was lengthy. I'm talking decades of a criminal career, violent felonies in our area. And, I said to Bud, actually, I was like, this is what I found. What do you want to do here? I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
And he was like, no problem. The person was extremely persistent, calling not just me, I blocked his number, but calling the office. And eventually Bud spoke to him and said, we're not helping you.
Yeah.
And, that's a good feeling, actually, because that could have been a very different outcome. But to know that Bud supports us without question, it's not about the business at the end of the day.
And Bud has always said, like, if there is somebody that's giving you a hard time, or I mean, even if it's not necessarily a safety concern, but just somebody who doesn't act appropriately, speaks to you in a way that you shouldn't be spoken to, all that, he's like, it's not worth it. None of it's worth it. And he'll say that from day one. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And he stands by that. You know what I mean? It's not about the money for him. It's about making sure that all of his agents are safe. Yeah. And it has to be a mutual respect.
Well, and I tell people too, when I'm meeting a new client or a new lead, we, as a rule, try to get them to come into the office and meet face to face rather than just meeting at a property without knowing who you're meeting. And more often than not, that's not a problem. But I tell people we have to be a good fit. They have to want to work with me as much as I want to work with them.
Right.
And you're not always a good fit we can work with a lot of different personalities. Pretty easygoing, but there are some instances where it may not work, and it may not be to the client's best interest either.
Right.
If it's not a good relationship, or you can't build, at least some type of rapport.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you spoke about the Forewarn. So that is a great app. Just with everything else, it's not 100%. Even it says it.
Yeah.
The names or whatever might not be accurate, but at least it gives us one layer of safety.
Well, what I've done too with that, because it does give you that disclaimer of not 100% guaranteed. If there's anything that's like questionable and there is like a criminal history, well, you can Google that name and it should come up in public records.
Right. I mean, it gives us
fact check.
Yeah, for sure. It gives us the opportunity to dig a little deeper. But some other things, and there have been agents on our team who have said, I'm meeting this client. Is there another agent that can come with me? Because something just doesn't feel 100%. And so we've done that quite a bit. Bud actually has given us one year. Were you on the team the year he gave us this like alarm where it was like this white thing and you pull it and it like the sound is like ear
No,
piercing.
no.
It in theory it's a great idea, just to it
Except for those of us that have kids that'll find it first.
or I had it on my keychain in my car, and one day I like when I went to reach for something, I grabbed that too by accident, and the thing ripped off. And I, the sound in my car, it was very, very, very loud. So I'm like, all right, maybe this is not for me, but,
Yeah.
um, but I get the idea. It'll stop somebody at least for a second. You know what I mean?
And that's what I think. I'm not an expert on this, but I think a lot of people say, it's buying time. So
Right,
even if you throw a shoe or, anything to buy yourself 15 seconds, you've bought yourself 15 seconds
right,
to
right.
run or whatever you need to do.
And the same with the mace. He got us all mace.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that with me a lot. I keep it in my car because if I leave it anywhere else, just like you said, the
It won't
kids
be with you.
Veda's like, "What's this? What's this?" Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's somebody new, I bring it. I put it in my pocket. Um, I don't know. It just makes me feel a little bit better.
One of the things I do, and I don't know if this is like silly or not, but I always walk around with my key fob in my hand. I won't put my key fob in my pocket or anything, so I can, press the alarm button or
Mm.
whatever I need to do.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything that's too silly. You know what I mean? It's like whatever makes you comfortable and whatever any little bit helps, really. It's just I
I
don't think
think
there's a
I
wrong
think it
answer.
all goes back to like situational awareness, right? So I think we would all be in much greater trouble if our guard was down, if it wasn't on our mind, if we didn't consider the possibility of anything, happening. Um, there are some trainings. Granted, I haven't gone to one in a couple years on this topic, but there are some things about, how to show a house, from a safety
Yeah.
perspective or an open house. Being by a door, keeping the door open. Don't go into a basement. Don't lead the client. Follow the client.
Right.
And there are definitely some things that I am more diligent about than
Mm-hmm.
than not.
Yeah.
I do not do basements, and I do not go upstairs if I'm at an open house.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I stay near the kitchen or the front door, um,
Yeah.
because you're supposed to have two exits in any location you're in, or something like that.
Right.
So
Right.
that's one that
And
stuck in my mind.
it yeah, no, and I do the same. Even if it's just for showing. Like there was one in particular that I can think of that um it was a male and I don't remember how I got him. Like I don't remember if it was an online lead or what. But he lived in New York, so like we couldn't sit down in the office. It was one of those where he had limited time when he would be here, so we had to look at houses, and it was legit. I had spoken with him over the phone. Um, he had reached out to a lender, so like all that stuff had been done ahead of time. So I felt,
He was ready to go. He was serious.
yeah, but even still, the first time I met him, I let him go in first. I always
Mm-hmm.
stayed by the door. I didn't go into the basement like you're saying. I let him go upstairs first, and I would stay close to, the staircase essentially, like
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
I could get down. Um, and obviously it was fine, but it was just like there are not it's not always the ideal situation. We can't always meet first in the office, and we do have to still serve clients, and he wanted to see houses, and meeting first was just not a real option for him. His time was
Yeah.
limited. He was coming from out of state. So
And I
that
think we've
took
all
up too
done that.
much time. Huh?
I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different circumstances where you don't have the time.
Right.
It doesn't work.
And I think what you said about like just not having our guard down is true. And it's easy to, in everyday life even, like
Yeah, absolutely.
go about life without really thinking about that. But I think I shared this with you when Veda and I were in Providence. We went over to Providence Place Mall for dinner. It was just her and I. And we were in Johnny Rockets, and it was a real small, like, area to sit down and eat. And we were all the way in the back. So there was no way out, really. The only way out was out front. And towards the end of our meal, I kept seeing, because there was a mirror on the wall, and I kept seeing multiple people walking by in black hooded sweatshirts with the hoods up and a black ski mask over their face. Multiple. It wasn't just like one. There was at least 5 minimum. And so I'm like, oh God, I don't like that. Like, that's not, that feels off to me. You know what I mean? Like, why? And
remove yourself from the situation.
And so I'm like, all right, it's time to go, but and it's one of those things, even in real estate, nothing happened that I know of, at least, you know what I mean? Nothing happened while I was there, but it's like, why take the chance of something happening?
You it's not right, then it's not right.
Right. They were doing that for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, whether it was just to get a rise out of people or...
And they could be 15-year-olds, going to the mall trying to spook people, and that's the end of it. But that's still,
Sure.
Unfortunately, in today's day and age, that's not really...
You can't assume that. You can't assume that, especially with all that goes on. You know what I mean? You hear things, like the street takeovers and all these ridiculous things.
I would have done the same thing. I would have been out there, especially with my kids, no doubt.
And it was just me and her, obviously I didn't say anything to her because I didn't want to scare her. And I'm like, all right, we're going back and we're staying. And then a part of me was like, I don't know what I was thinking, a Saturday night at the mall, like, that's when...
Yeah, but I mean, you should be perfectly able to go there and have nothing happen.
Sure. Like I said, nothing did, but it's just an example of being aware of your environment. Because had I not paid attention to that and then something did happen,
then you're too late. Then you're stuck. Then you're playing, catch up or whatever. Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to navigate.
It is. And I think the only way you can, boil it down or surmise it is being aware and following your gut instinct.
Yeah.
I think that's what it all boils down to.
Right.
In my, not professionally trained opinion.
No, but I mean, it's enough. But to tie that in a little bit to like motherhood, right? Mm-hmm. It's very hard to navigate what we should share with the kids in an effort to not scare them, right? Because my Veda will, like, she gets scared, so it's like I don't want her to be afraid of everything, but at the same time, it's like, especially she's getting to an age where she wants a little more independence. It's like she needs to know and be aware of some things, so it's a hard balance, like...
Well, and like I told you too, just here and now today with Emma home, she wanted to be up here with me, and I'm like, I just don't want you listening to this topic right now. I don't want you worrying about me. She worries enough about Garrett as it is. So I
know.
I don't need to bring that to light.
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't know.
So I've written down a couple of other notes that I think are kind of worth sharing. The National Association of Realtors, for the Realtor Safety Month, this year did a poll of encounters realtors have had. Out of 75,000 realtors, 75,000 realtors had reported some type of safety issues. Now, whether that was criminal activity, whether that was harassment, whether that was even some cyber issues, that was all encompassing, but 75,000 had some type of safety
concern
issue arise in a year.
Yeah.
So again,
And
I mean, that's a pretty large number.
it is a large number. It is. And even though, and so like to go off of that, um, we saw that 85% of agents have showed a house alone or a property alone.
I'm part of that 85%.
I mean, and so I was thinking about this and I'm like, that's actually a little lower than I. Who hasn't shown a house by
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah,
is
you're
how
right,
I feel.
actually. Yeah.
Like, how can you every single time have somebody show a house
you.
with you? It
Yeah.
just doesn't. I just don't see how that's possible.
I didn't think of it that way, but now that you mention it, yeah, that is very surprising. Like surprisingly low.
Yeah, I mean, like 85% is a high percentage, but when you think about it, like I
It is still our job.
99% of the time I'm showing a house by myself. So it's like,
Right, right.
unless I have my kids with me, which I try not to do, but like if I have
Or
somebody
the
with me,
other
that's
agent meets you, like the listing agent. If you're working with a buyer, the listing agent might meet you.
yeah, but that doesn't I mean, that doesn't happen all that often anymore. Sometimes, it depends on
More
the
in Rhode
property.
Island. I do see it more in Rhode
Rhode
Island.
Island, sure.
I don't know why the difference, but it is more the norm.
Well, because I heard Rhode Island's like the Wild West.
I keep hearing that too. I don't think I have enough
Data.
really, in-depth firsthand experience with that. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
people do play by their own rules is the impression I've got. I'll leave it there.
Yeah. No, that is what I've heard. But um, so there's risks with anything that we do in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to understand that. But
Well, let's talk
we
about what you do when you are meeting someone. So not what you do when you're physically with, the potential client at the property. What is your kind of policy? What do you do? Do you tell Ryan? Do you tell Bud? Who do you tell where you're going? What ability do they have to track that? I mean, what's your personal safety routine with that type of situation?
so I have in my family calendar. Um and so if I'm showing a house, it's on my family calendar, so it has the address. So I don't always tell Ryan unless it's a weekend or the evening and he has to watch the kids, but like if it's during the day, I don't always tell him, but it is always in our family calendar. So he has access to that. So it will say showing with, I put their name,
Mm-hmm.
and the address of where the showing is.
Mm-hmm.
He also, I share my location with him so he can see it, at any point. Um, I have, on Sentry or Sentry Lock, you have the
Mm-hmm.
agent safety feature. And so that goes to Ryan and Bud, I believe, for me. And occasionally I forget, and Bud will be like, "You good?"
Mm-hmm.
um,
So
but
it works. He's watching.
it well, it sends them a text. So if I don't either turn it off or something, I don't know exactly how it works, to be honest, but I know it does because
Yeah,
they've
no,
both.
Garrett, I forgot about that. Garrett has asked me the same thing.
Yeah. Um, so I probably should be better than what I am at times, but there is definitely times where I am more cautious than others.
Based on following your gut, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What about you?
So same. I mean, Garrett can follow my phone, track my phone. I do tell him specifically if I'm meeting a new client, somebody I don't know, and where we'll be and when. Um, and I write down the license plate of the car that they show up
That's
in.
a great idea. Yeah.
Again, not something that would stop anything from happening, but
It
and
might stop something from happening to somebody else.
well, great. I'm not worried about somebody else. I'm worried about
I'm just,
myself.
I mean, but if it's already happened, it's already happened.
I know,
But
I know. But that's what I do.
yeah, no,
It's
that's good.
and then we just delete it, erase it. If I'm fine, what do you do with that? Nothing. But
No, but
we have it.
I think we talked about this last week. It's like there's nothing ever that we can 100% do to prevent something from happening.
No.
And as much as you think you know someone, even people we've known forever, I mean, things happen. You know what I mean? Like, some people get triggered by things. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of fully knowing, So, but I think that if we
on the wrong day,
100%,
they could just flip over who knows what.
Yeah, yeah. So it is just, if it doesn't feel right, you got to do something about it. Is basically what it comes down to. Because it's not worth it.
No, absolutely not. So I did have a couple other things I wrote down that were kind of interesting. Of that 75,000 agent pool, 67% do use a tracking app. So, Find My Phone, whatever I imagine is what most of that is. And 30% of realtors who encounter criminal activity that followed threatening communication. So, like we talked about earlier today, Brittany, the lead that she had and the communication.
Yeah.
Just shut it down from the get-go, didn't try to ignore it or, work through it, which with what she shared with us, I think was 100% the right call.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And, again, I don't think there's a right or wrong to it. Like somebody might send something, not necessarily like Brittany got, but somebody might say something to you that doesn't bother you. And then somebody might say the same thing to me that is unsettling. And you just,
right.
You just have to go with it. One thing that I think I would like to do for 2024 is bring offer a self-defense class for the team.
I think it's a great idea.
I feel like it can't hurt, to just have in everyday life. I follow somebody on Instagram. I forget her name, but it's a woman and she does self-defense. And so she'll post different videos about like if somebody comes up from behind, like how you get out of it, or so I think that if we can get one and somebody who can kind of tailor it to real estate, it would be really helpful.
They have programs that offer exactly that. I want to say that Jay Johnson had talked about that years ago, so he may have a connection. I'm not sure what it is, but he might be one to ask because he had definitely mentioned it a number of years ago.
I think all really it comes down to is being prepared, for
the
whatever, might come up.
Right. So I think it'd be interesting to hear if anybody wants to leave their comments or feedback. If they do anything differently that we didn't come up with or have additional ideas, it certainly will help any other listeners.
Yeah, no, 100%. I am. Anything helps.
So now, what's in your agenda? You guys have a big day tomorrow, right? Changing topics here, but you need to get mentally prepared, right?
I do. Yeah, we're going to New York City for Radio City Rockettes, which will be fun. Quinn,
such a great show.
I believe it is. It really is. We went with Veda. I was like just pregnant with Quinn, so she had to have been 2, almost 3. So if we went in December, she would be 3 in February. So she was young. I took her to the city another time, but still young. But Quinn has never been, and he's at a fun age for that stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. We're going Mom, Bud, Kristen, Lindsay, Juliet, all of us. So it'll be a nice day. But it's also stressing me out a little bit because I'm like, that's a whole day. A whole day. I still haven't figured out how to get into my closet with the Christmas presents. I can't find the key. So, there's like a lot still that needs to be done.
You still have 2 weeks till Christmas. That doesn't have to be done before you go.
No. And I'll do it the rest of the week. But once the kids are out of school, that's it for me. Like, I need to get this stuff done. My kids don't sleep. So like wrapping presents at night is not an option for me, because you just, they get up and down multiple times. And I
video of Veda a couple months ago walking through the house.
she got up last night. She came in and she didn't have a shirt on. And I said, "What happened to your shirt?" And she's like, "I don't know." And I'm just
what did
like,
she do? You were showing us all that video. What did she have on her head? I
she
can't even
she had
remember.
pants on her head.
Yeah,
She
so funny.
came out and she had to have gone into her drawer because they weren't like on the floor, and come out pants around her head, just walking around. So, and I can't be dealing with that. I can't be dealing with that, trying to wrap presents on Christmas Eve or any night for that matter.
Well, actually, it's funny you said that because I was wrapping presents for Noelle's birthday Friday night, Thursday night. I don't remember which night. Before anyone was sick. And Emma got out of bed and came downstairs. I'm like, thank God this wasn't Christmas presents. Thank God it's just for Noelle. But I'm like, what are you doing?
I know.
This can't be happening.
I know. So I really like to do that stuff during the day while they're at school because it's a lot less stressful. And I don't even really know what I have or what I need because I can't get in. So,
yeah. I do keep a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet of what.
Do you? See, I'm just not that organized. I'm just not that organized. I do stuff when it comes in my brain, and then it comes in. I throw it in the closet because, you got to hide it.
I keep the list going kind of year round, and I mean, I'm not like, don't get too impressed. I don't have a budget that I follow, and I certainly don't have like planning through the year. But as ideas come into my head, I do put them on the spreadsheet, and I'll put them in like italic if it's not purchased, or I'm going to think about it a little bit longer, and then just like regular font if I've actually purchased it. So
that's great.
A fluid document.
You're an organized human being. You're very like, would you consider yourself type A?
Yes, I can be type A, but organized is probably not the right word.
Wow.
Organized chaos, maybe?
You're a lot more organized than I am, trust me.
I usually start out strong, and then if it's not easy to maintain, I don't maintain the system. But I mean, I do some things okay.
I will try to like get organized, I think it's a great idea, and then I can't find what I did with anything anyways. I operate much better not organized.
But you always get things done. Like whatever it is, it's taken care of and it works.
I guess so. It's a little stressful, but hey, it's what it is.
It's stressful no matter how you go about it, in my
True.
I have a spreadsheet and it's still stressful.
So what's your week? I mean, you're hoping Emma's on the mend.
Well,
hoping nobody else gets it.
Yeah, so we do have plans to go skiing this weekend, which hopefully we're still able to do. I mean, obviously it's not the end of the world if we can't. It's not our only, opportunity to go. But Garrett does have a couple of days off that we were going to try and take advantage of and, get an early start to the season.
Well, and it seemed to go through, I mean, pretty quick. So if anybody else is going to get it, you'd think you'd know soon.
So there was just about 48 hours between Noelle coming down with it and then Emma. So if I were to fall, it'd be tomorrow.
Yeah.
I guess tomorrow will be the test.
And Garrett stayed away, so he should be fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even want to sit on the same couch with them. He's like, don't get me sick. And I'm just like, we're surrounded by it anyways.
I know. It is what it is at this point.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I have a couple of just normal work week stuff. I kind of shifted some stuff today, which is stressing me out a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to meet someone this afternoon and just leave them in the car, but not a showing, just picking up a deposit check.
Yeah, so that's easy enough. But
it's easy. Yeah.
like I said, I'm not around tomorrow, but if you need help the rest of the week, let me know because I can help you.
Well, and likewise, if everybody's healthy tomorrow, I should be available if you need anything.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, right. No, and I mean, I didn't schedule anything for tomorrow, so it all can wait until the next day. But
so I submit an offer. I'm sure no one is interested in listening to this anymore, but just get your opinion 2 seconds before we wrap up. I submit an offer on a listing last Thursday.
And you haven't heard?
So I heard that it was received and it was presented right away. And then they were, going through, they said highest and best deadline of yesterday, and I just reconfirmed that, we were all set. They had what they needed.
Yeah.
It's been-
So highest and best was due yesterday.
right.
So I'd imagine you probably hear something later today. Be my guess.
Sure hope so.
If you don't hear by tonight, I would reach back out. Is it an agent you know?
Oh, absolutely. No.
No.
We will
I
see.
don't like those long timelines. I don't like that. I mean, if you put an offer in on when did it come on?
Wednesday, the day before we put the offer in.
Yeah. So that's a long time to
right.
Yeah, if you don't hear by tonight, I would reach out, but I would expect that if they probably will be going over them today. If the deadline was last night, they're probably
but 4:00. I mean, that's afternoon.
Yeah, there should have been plenty of time last night.
They would have talked about it last night to set the deadline at 4:00.
Do you know how many offers there were?
Nope, wouldn't tell me that. Wouldn't give me anything. Which, whatever. I mean, we wrote a very strong offer over asking. It's the best that she could do. So,
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose if she doesn't get it because she put her best foot forward and it's
Well,
a competitive offer.
It would be nice to know, though.
Yeah, it's just the lack of communication that's frustrating. To even, I usually will make a point of letting agents know this is when I'm presenting them, we'll talk at this point in time.
Right.
And then if the clients need time to process, I'll let them know that. And maybe not tell an agent, what time to expect an answer, but just let them know that everything was presented and they're choosing between a couple good options.
For sure.
Just
so
there's some dialogue.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, good luck. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hopefully you get it. I showed a nice house. Couple what day was it? Last Friday. But I don't think they're gonna do anything with it. But it was a nice house, but a like really long, steep driveway.
That's tough.
I was like, it's too bad because it's a nice house, and I think the driveway.
Nice storm.
Yeah, I mean, even pulling up the driveway, I couldn't see. Like, you can't see the road, because it's that steep. But
Steep.
yeah,
That's tough.
but someone will buy it.
Yeah, well, there's a buyer for every house, right?
For sure. All right. Well, you go take care of sweet Emma, and I hope she feels better, and I hope you all stay healthy.
Thank you. I hope you guys have a great time tomorrow. I hope you don't have an adventure on the train.
I know. I was thinking about that. Somebody said, was it you? It probably was you. You're like, oh, you're taking a train again?
Yeah, last week.
This
very brave.
I know. No. I'll be with everybody. So if we go down, we're going down together. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's reassuring or not.
Well, but it's better than leaving someone behind.
Sure.
I know. It'll be great. It's going to be fun. Yeah, true. Oh, boy.
Right.
It'll be
good. You guys
good.
will be fine. Have a great time.
All right. Thanks. You too. And let me know if you need anything.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.